Oh, hi, Jesse.
Oh, hello. Hey, buddy.
Welcome to the paint stream.
Hey!
Oh, the stream's on.
Yeah, it's Jesse. All right. Goodbye, Jesse.
Okay, I'm leaving now.
All right, goodbye. I miss you.
Hi, folks.
Man, that's some really good painting.
Oh, thanks.
Hey, folks. It's John and I. This is Sean. We're doing some paint stream. This is just kind of a work paint stream. We both have commissions we're working on, and
Yeah, got things to wrap up.
so I'm going to be working on some Imperial Fists. Sorry, Crimson Fists. Oh, I'm sorry, Crimson Fists for you know who, and some Ork Riders. Second commission. What are you working on?
I am working on a towel commission that I've had for way too long. So I am in the process of hopefully tightening this up, getting it done, and sending it out into the world, into the arms of a loving owner.
Yeah, these Space Marines, of course, are another long-standing commission. I finished half the squad. I don't know, sometime early summer, and then other things happened.
Yeah, as stuff normally happens. One of the things that I like and hate about commission painting, and we can definitely talk about this probably in length, but it is the time frame in which I am able to complete it. Like, I like doing commissions. I like seeing the faces of my clients when I turn in some beautiful work to them. But it's also, to me, been a trend of almost continuous disappointment as I fail to meet deadlines and expectations. And so it's one of those things where when you are doing commissions, make sure that if you are doing it for someone who is not a friend or someone who's at least understanding of your situation, to give yourself a realistic deadline and make sure that it's a priority. It's nothing.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, sometimes it's just like it can just drag, and you don't want it to drag, but that's just the reality.
Yeah. And unfortunately, since commission painting isn't my full-time job, I can't just, pump out armies like I used to be able to when I was a full-time artist. So, and that's one of my big issues when I do take commissions. I give it usually a time frame of what I was able to do in the past, when that is definitely not the case. It's definitely something to be mindful of.
Yeah, sometimes, and if you work at a good enough pace if you work at a good enough pace, sometimes that can just lead to utter burnout.
Yeah.
Because you have to churn this stuff out. And
Yeah.
I'm always impressed by people who can do that as a full-time job, because like after a month of that, I wouldn't want to paint anymore.
Yeah, it's just unfortunately part of the hobby / industry of being a commission painter, is being almost mechanical in how you're able to complete things.
Can we put some of these towel on screen?
No, sure.
Yeah, some let's go. Towel Fire Warriors.
Yeah.
Thank you. So I'm working on Crimson Fist. So the first step here, well, this is actually third step. So I've done a base coat of the Cantor and then washed it all with Millen oil so I can get all the shading. Now I'm coming back in with what is this? It's light dark blue, so that's kind of sky blue. That's my highlight. So I'm just kind of doing edging on all the plates, which is pretty easy because blue is one of the more forgiving colors. Kind of self highlights and self shades.
Yeah, I always have difficulty with blues or desaturated blues. And Justin, that's Sean's commission for Space Marines, the never-ending fight to appease David.
I said you know who.
Yeah.
So he keeps telling me, it's like, if you want to change, I have 3 other armies you can be working with.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah,
is,
David
which,
has.
which is another reason why this army is taking forever, because I keep changing up what I'm doing.
Yeah. David's like, oh, it's great that you're doing this. Now change places.
I mean, there's, with Ninth Age becoming a thing again, and Song of Fire and Ice and Fire becoming a thing. There's all sorts of armies rising out of the deeps, and each
Yeah.
of them is, well, there's a massive difference between painting individual figures, which I do, and painting armies. And I mean, armies just have the problems like I have to paint for almost every army is a minimum 60 to 100 figures,
Yeah.
and so depending on the complexity, that can take. It takes time. Which stands out, like especially around his like rims of the shoulder pads, his on his face, everything like the nozzles on the back of the backpack. So like I said, if you highlight everything, then it's not a highlight. It's just you've just created a new midtone.
Yep. C'est la vie.
Blue. These aerials are so weak. I need to fix one of the aerials on his backpack.
Oh, yeah.
Working on the other one with his like tactical pistol.
Yeah.
I always kind of find it weird that the design is they have these smaller magazines.
Yeah.
They're really small magazines comparatively. It's like, are these more efficient bolters? Smaller bolter shells? Or is it just a nice subtle nod that these Space Marines need less ammo?
That's a good question.
Are they better shots? Or maybe they don't have full auto.
Maybe they don't have full auto. It's interesting to think about that sort of stuff.
Or maybe they had a moment of clarity, some logic, and it's like, okay, we built the intercessor, and he's carrying himself a bolt rifle. This gun is huge. Legitimately, a gun that big should have a giant magazine. Let's not put on there. It looks like he's carrying a heavy bolter.
Yeah.
So let's tone that down, especially on like the pistols.
I could see them doing that. That makes some modium of sense. One of the things with batch painting is I also have to figure out like where I stopped with each unit.
Well, that's why I don't batch paint outside of a unit. I'll finish a unit.
Yeah.
I do batch painting, but usually I'll do I'll base coat and prep 10,
Yeah.
and then I'll take 5 of those and do the next step, and do all the I'll do the washes, do the highlighting, then I'll cut down to 2 to 3 and finish them. That way I don't, because I found if I do batch paint of 5 at a time all the way, someone's gonna get missed. I'm like, I forgot the belt buckle here, or someone's
Yeah.
visor, or I completely missed an angle of highlighting, because there's you lose track when there's 5 guys,
No, that's very true.
especially like these Marines here, which have lots of angles that you have to get. So I couldn't do 10 at once. These Marines are really nice, but boy, Marines used to be the army that they were easy to paint because they were pretty simple as far as design goes, low detail for maximum effect. But then like a lot of the Primaris are really detailed. I mean, like a tactical Marine we got a bolter. He might have a holster for his pistol, some grenades. Done,
Yeah.
But like these guys have, he has his bolter, but he also has his pistol and his smaller shoulder pads, which means you see more of his body, so you have to actually detail the body now. And then on these guys, there's like all the kind of exposed cabling,
Right.
muscle fiber, and the fake, whatever, the artificial muscle fibers, which is something else you have to do. And then that's on top of, well, all the tactical elements. So, he's got holsters and bags and grenades and other grenades and extra ammo. And so yeah, there's a lot more going on in these guys in a tactical marine.
Yeah. But it's all part of, the ever expanding design abilities.
I mean, again, it's a great design. It's cool, but it's just stepping back and seeing it from a professional painter's point of view. It's like, oh my god.
Right.
I mean, like the Ossiarch guys, what are they actually called? The Bone Reapers?
Bone Reapers, yeah.
Yeah, Bone Reapers, they look complicated, but they really aren't.
Yeah. They are, from my experience with painting them, fairly easy to paint.
Well, they're like the Marines, where you have like maximum effect for minimal effort.
Right. And with me, I'm going to have to bust my butt because I want to finish my Ossiarchs by the time Lizardmen are out.
What?
New rumor poked up recently about Lizardmen getting done in January of next year. Now, it comes from a pretty reliable source, but they didn't have any information other than Lizardmen in January, excuse me. So that's at least enough for me to get excited.
I mean, I'm excited. I don't even play them, but hey, Lizardmen.
Yeah. The hope is at least one or two new kits. It would be nice to see something similar to what they did with like Slaves to Darkness, where if they came out with like a new box set with, let's say, a new block of Saurus, then a new thing of Ork Calvaries, and then like a Slon in it, and let that be the start collecting. And if that's all the new models we get for Lizardmen, I'll be pretty excited.
Well, yeah, I mean the skinks are fine. A lot of your beasties are fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Sauruses are really showing their age. They are what? When did they come out? They came out 2008.
The Saurus? I thought it was even before then.
Yeah, I'm trying to establish at least the earliest I remember them, and yeah, it's like they are old.
But so I'm hoping, obviously, new Saurus, to me, I feel is pretty necessary, especially after comparing them to the Blood Bowl.
Yeah,
Saurus.
Those look much better.
However, I would personally love to see new Kroxigor, and then also new Salamanders and Razordons. But that's like, my aesthetic of Lizardmen that I like.
Well, it'd be great if you had you had Sauruses riding cold ones.
That look
The army that technically cold ones should be part of don't get the coolest cold ones. I mean, it's sure they originated in the lore with the Dark Elves, but the Dark Elves have the good cold ones.
I would actually like to talk to like Games Workshop, where because Warhammer Total War did the Lizardmen and they did such a good job with the concept art, I'm curious if they get to use any of that with them, or if like copyright or whatever prevents that.
I'm sure there's a nice topiary maze of copyrights.
Yeah. But they did such a good job with their Lizardman faction that I have hope for Games Workshop touching on them again. And then from there, we should have Caradron Overlords and Tzeentch in February, and that should complete all of the all of the existing battle tomes up to date for this edition of Age of Sigmar.
Yeah,
And we're effectively in second edition.
yeah, John was telling me, and I was like, oh wait, you're right.
Yeah.
Tzeentch is 2 years old at this point. I hadn't even thought about it. I didn't realize how kind of comparatively old those are compared to the newest ones. I mean,
Yeah. Because they have some absolutely fantastic models, the Zinch line. Same with the Caradron, but their rules necessarily haven't evolved as well in this iteration of the game. So it'll be exciting to see what new things they have in store for them.
I wonder. I mean, both of them could use, say, another troop choice. I mean,
Yeah.
Caradron have one troop choice, I feel.
Yeah, they have one battle line currently.
Right.
A lot of people are thinking that the Thunderers will become battle line for them. They have plenty of heroes, but yeah, I agree that I would like to see another troop option, like whether it's something more melee focused or maybe even a more elite style melee like the Thunderers, but we'll have to wait and see. But it's
Yeah,
pretty
I mean,
exciting.
Yeah, the equivalent of I don't know. We already got Slayers, so it's not going to be Slayers. But how about some Longbeards, but Arcanaut Longbeards? So
Yeah, it would be kind of cool to
Grizzled pirates.
see something with like I would like to see something with like a shield and a shotgun kind of thing.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, like because that keeps it along the same lines as Caradron. Like give them a shield with like maybe a spike on it to prevent.
A boarding shotgun type. Of
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, and a boarding. Yeah, like just a scatter gun kind of thing.
Sure.
And you can even do the thing where you can put a bayonet on the gun. You know, like oh, that's looking really good.
All the angles and edges and all that. But that goes back to one of my critiques of Age of Sigmar is that the newer factions just don't have as much choice.
Yeah. At least with Caradron, one of the things I would really love to see is them getting a piece of terrain that's a skyport.
Oh God.
You know, and it doesn't have to be like a sky city, you know, but like basically like a little tower that their ships can refill at. And like give them some benefit for
Repairs?
going. Yeah, like give them repairs or
They're not especially tough. They just have a lot of wounds. So
right.
So, maybe a way to let them kind of. I was like, okay, I've dropped off my troops, fall back and repair.
Yeah. And so it would also be interesting if they incorporated maybe like some sort of like once per game ammo to them, then letting the skyport refill that.
Oh yeah, okay. Or if you're near it, you get everything from you get it if you're there, you get
Or even if you begin next to it, like it gives you extra speed at the start of your turn.
ooh, maybe you could actually deploy troops through it,
That would be pretty cool too.
and they're in the fort.
Yeah.
I mean, Caradrons are the only army that really have any kind of transport capability. So maybe an additional one.
Yeah. Yeah, something they can like garrison, I guess.
Right. If you want to, start the game garrisoned.
That'd be even cool if they gave them something like close to what the Tau have, which is like a floating gun tower. Like let it just be a firing platform for them.
Now I'm adding the important thing, a Crimson Fist.
But why would you add that?
Because they're the Crimson Fist.
Oh. I think I'm tracking.
It's really subtle. Okay.
One thing 40K is known for, it's subtlety.
Right.
Angron, I'm looking at you.
And Perturabo. He's perturbed.
Ferris Manus of the Iron Hands.
Well, yeah, Ferris Manus with his Mr. Iron Hands, who has iron hands, who leads the Iron Hands.
God bless.
Weirdly enough, Fulgrim is weirdly non-specific as far as the name goes.
Technically same with Robute Gilliman, but he was named after someone.
Well, yeah, but he's not like they didn't name him, Caesar Romano or something like that.
Right, yeah.
And Lehman Russ, he's got the Roos in his name, but that's, they didn't just name him,
Wolfie.
Walt Swede McViking, But then there's, Night Haunter, Conrad.
Yeah. Also, Vulcan is not necessarily super subtle.
No, that's just going right for it. Did I mention I like fire? My name is Vulcan.
Yeah.
Okay.
I also like to make things.
Bernie McFire guy. Okay. Lionel Johnson, another one which is pretty, non on the nose. Okay, what's next? Okay. So, while those Marines dry, I'm working on Orks. These are the Mantic board riders. So here's a finished one. And I just dropped it. Wonderful. I was talking with John how I'm not a big fan of these models.
Yeah.
It's a sculpting problem and a detail problem. It's one of those times where a model is kind of a throwaway unit. I mean, in Mantic, of course, you don't lose units, so
Right.
it's okay. So you don't spend hours painting a model, and first game, first turn before it even gets to do anything, you remove 3 ranks. But Mantic doesn't work that way. But still, you have a lot of detail, which is essentially a mob grunt troop. So it's just time consuming for what should be a pretty easy model.
Right.
Also, it's still using the Mantic resin. That really crunchy, really brittle plastic. Not a fan. Well, this is the last 2 of a group, so almost done with them. Hooray.
That'll be exciting to get that knocked out.
Yep. Just in time for David to throw more Marines at me.
Hooray, Marines!
And the other big project is the Bellacore
Oh yeah.
for Jason.
And you're about to get.
Yes, and we've already discussed. There's that chaos starter box is going, but they're such nice models.
They are. I really like the one with the dragon scale cloak. I find that to be pretty cool, and I'm glad that they're like diversifying from just like the furs and such that they used to have in their last incarnation, and like moving over to different styles, like the cakes the cloaks or capes, not cakes. As far as I know, they haven't developed cake technology.
That's Slanish. Slanish
Yeah.
has cakes.
But like, there's a lot of different textures in that kit now.
Well, I guess one advantage is that they've kind of moved. They're not just northern barbarians anymore.
Correct.
They're weirdos from all over the world,
Yeah.
multiple realms. So
I definitely hate elves. I'm not sure if you looked at the kit, but like
Yep.
all the heads that they have,
one's got an elf head. Yep.
several of them have elf heads. On the knights and
I wonder if the sculptor was also working on elves.
right, they're like, oh man, I have all these elf 3D assets. Time for everything to be elves.
It's a weird kind of marketing, but okay. By the way, there's an elf army. You can tell because of all the casualties.
Yeah, but it also lends credence to come March that we might be seeing high elves again.
In some form or another. I mean, the whole point of all the new armies is these are armies that they can own the IPs of. So high elf, well, every game has a high elf in it.
Yeah, I'm almost probably they're gonna have some sort of like light elf or Hessian elf or something attached to them.
Which sounds fine to me.
Yeah,
Uh,
especially I mean, like maybe it's me, but I kind of like the title of Hessian. I think it's kind of a fun word, but I'm almost positive they're going to make it a little bit more like broader, where it'll be like Light Hope Elves with a AE.
Oh yeah, I mean they'll have a kind of very wanted name. If you will.
Hey Zach, we actually do offer painting classes from time to time. Last weekend we had an airbrushing workshop, but also me and Sean, who is the person on camera, will do painting classes here and then, or even just painting events. Like,
Hey, if people show interest, I will do painting classes.
yeah,
Sometimes it's just hard to get people, but I will.
Yeah.
I will do classes if there's interest.
but yeah, like a lot of times it's just like Games Workshop just needs a little bit something to be unique, and then something to be approachable, right? Like Ossiarch Bone Reapers. So
Well, that's certainly. I mean, as far as undead armies go, that's a pretty unique concept. They're not just skeletons. They're
bone golems.
right. We took a bunch of skeletons and ghosts and kind of squished them into one monster. Like, okay, that's something.
Yeah.
It also kind of lets you have a skeleton who's not just, it breaks the stereotype of skeleton as kind of being useless in combat.
Yeah.
Like, no, these have been forged and built to be good fighters.
Correct.
These aren't your garbage rattlebone skeletons. Sorry, rattlebone skeletons.
Womp womp.
Mind you, you can summon rattlebone skeletons by the pound. It's like, oh, you know what? I want more units. Bam, done. Which you can't do with Bone Reapers can only rebuild their existing units.
Yep.
The old playing against any of the armies that can just summon, it just meant that I always had to. My flank was always a given that it was going to collapse because there's going to suddenly be 40 skeletons
Yeah.
where there was nothing.
I had to deal with that with Flesh Eater Courts calling in their ghouls.
Even then, you don't get like 40 of them.
Yeah, you can.
Really?
Yeah.
That's not fair. That's not fair. Speaking as a goblin player, my troops are garbage and they don't get any better, so no fair.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, I don't mind the fact that I can, rebuild a unit, half a unit after it's been destroyed, but that just means I get more garbage troops.
Yeah.
Oh boy. What's better than the Three Stooges? More Three Stooges, apparently.
Dun, 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 dun. Oh, that's Benny Hill.
But going back to the idea of units of factions needing more variety. I mean, good old the goblins won out there because they had, they have 3 different types of battle line before you introduce the fact that you can have characters who can make other units battle line.
Correct.
So you have a ton. So goblin, the Gloomswide had a ton of choices.
They sure do.
And that's even if you just stay in one faction or the other. I mean, now if you're going to do the spiders, then yeah, you're stuck back to almost it's only one troop total.
But that's a choice.
Right.
You know.
But the book has, it's like, okay, I will be Gloomswide, so I can do I got some goblins, and I got some other goblins, and I have some bounders, and I have some squigs, and I have some, let's bring some trolls, And all is part of the same army. There's a lot of choice there. Then you go over to the Iron Jaws, and I have 3 choices of troops.
Gorgruntas.
Brutes, and the Ard Boys.
Oh, really? The Bull Riders don't ever become battle line?
Well, not battle line, but they're troops.
Oh, okay.
The trouble is there's your full extent of the army you have, and then 3 characters. Well, I guess there's 4. Since you can, there is a difference between a Mega Boss on foot and Mega Boss on his cabbage dragon. And then you get the cities of Sigmar. It's like, how many choices do you want? All of them.
Yeah, that was a really unique book. Or it is a really unique book.
Well, it's like, okay, well, I have an old Empire army. Which of these are battle line? Well, all of it. Okay.
What if I told you every one of them?
Yeah. Halberdiers, yep. Swordsmen, yep. Guns, oh yeah, every gun. And they're all better. Oh boy. So it's just so, and then it's like, oh, by the way, did you want some elves in your army? You can do that too, and some dwarves. So many choices. So many tactical abilities. So much, just, and also from a painting perspective, you can go crazy with it.
Absolutely.
But other armies are like, okay, we have we do this, or we can do this. And they're like ogres. What do the ogres got? They have like the gorgers, man-eaters.
So they have lead belchers can be battle line. The gluttons can be battle line, and Mournfang.
Is that the big kind of wolf rhino thing?
Yes.
Okay. Here, can I put one of these guys up?
Oh yeah, sure. Beep 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 beep. Yeah.
That was one of the drones.
It's interesting because like up until Bone Reapers, it looked like there was a big push on making whatever you want be battle line.
Right.
Now, Bone Reapers is a new faction. It doesn't necessarily have the same amount of options as others, but it only has 2 battle line. It's either the infantry or the cavalry.
Oh, the cavalry battle line.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And so that's kind of cool that the cavalry are battle line. And I kind of like it. I mean, like, it makes sense from a lore perspective. That such a heavily regimented army only has, you know, the battle line of, like, their actual troops.
Sure. I can understand it too, because it's, you know, it's a constructed army. So
Yeah.
you don't, when you're going to build it like that, you just don't have redundancies. No need to have 4 types of troop when, well, one can kind of fulfill all the roles.
Yeah.
But, you know, old Warhammer, I mean, Skaven, I was the fact that my Skaven army under Warhammer had 15 units I could field. And that's just the units, not even the characters. Like, okay, every type of thing I want, anything I want to be able to do, I have a unit that will do it. Or at least, you know, try to do it. Because, you know, keep in mind that most of those units were just kind of cheap, disposable. But they were there.
I mean, Skaven, they always think that they're not, but they always are cheap and disposable.
Oh. when I played with my Skaven, my army was 90% expendable. As long as I won, I didn't care how many of my Skaven died.
Like a true Skaven.
Right. Well, only my warlord had to survive a battle to claim a victory. My warlord climbed out of the smoking crater on the battlefield and surveyed all the dead Skaven. His question is, did we win? If the answer is yes, then he's like, okay.
It's like, sweet.
Someone clean this up. But that's the nature of Skaven, is like, you know, you can't get mad when your army explodes, it's Skaven. And you can't get mad when it dies to a man because it's Skaven.
Right.
Like, okay, yeah, my army died again. Happens. If you get in the proper Skaven mindset, you can of course point to conspiracy and how you were betrayed. Everyone betray me. Okay, I'm going through and highlighting the red on the Crimson Fist. Where did you go? You have a bright red. I can borrow.
Yes.
I thought I had it brought with me, but I. You forgot to paint? I forgot to paint.
Don't worry, I have every color of paint.
Well, I do too. I just don't, like you, I don't have it always at hand. Just need that little bit of edge highlighting on the fist. Then I got to do the fun thing of going back in and blacking in all this equipment, which I talked about earlier. All the equipment. This Kato red base looks better than it used to. Did they change it? Because before it used to be more orange.
I don't know. Like they have renegotiated with their manufacturer, but I don't know what the extent of that entailed.
But yeah, it's like it looks more richer as a red. I steered away from it previously because it looked a little too orange. But this looks much better. Of course, I say that, but I'm mixing in some yellow into it to make it a little bit of orange. So what do I know? Crimson Fist. There we go. Yes, because so now you have to speed up your painting because you're working on your Bone Reapers yourselves.
Yep. I'm gonna try to have the whole army finished by January, so when ultimately Lizardmen come out,
And steal your heart.
yeah, I'll at least have like my Bone Reapers to show for it.
As they look forlornly in the shelf.
Yeah.
But John, we were here for you. Mind you, so you're building the 2000?
Yeah, I already have 2,000 points.
Correct. So what's in it?
So I really like the catapults. Right now I have one. I'd like to get a second one, but
They are wonderful looking.
until then I have 2 units of 20 Mortec guards, a unit of the Death Riders for my battle line, a Soul Mason, Catacross himself.
Oh, you have Bone Daddy?
I sure do.
He is pretty. I mean, he'll be he's a fun painting project. He's a squad in one
Yeah.
line.
A Harvester and a Mortis Guard.
I don't know if they've ever. The only time I can think of that they've done similar to Bone Daddy, with like one guy being a squad, was like the old dwarves carrying the Lord.
Right. Or when the old Slawn was being carried by the
Right.
the Saurus.
Well, you picked a bad. That was a bad straw you picked. What's your job? Gotta carry this guy. Oh boy. But apparently it's my destiny or something.
Yeah. Can't fight destiny, I guess.
But yeah, they haven't really done that in a while. Just of like, I mean, outside of say War Machine, but this is a character, so he's got way more detail on it.
Yeah, he is absolutely gorgeous. I'll probably be painting him on stream once I get done with some of my other commission work.
I do like how he just kind of like, you have to, it's kind of weird that you have to, check a flow chart to see who you're actually fighting every turn. It's like, have you killed the scribe? Have you killed the guy with the hawk?
Yeah, unfortunately, it's not necessarily like that new player friendly, because the new player has to constantly ask his opponent who is still left on the base.
Right. I wonder if there's certainly. I wonder if there's the ability. How integrated are they to the base? Could you say easily?
Yeah. They all have separate paces. They are all like fully complete models on their own. It was almost like they were designed to be magnetized or
Right.
At least pinned into place.
Do you have blue over there?
Blue or glue?
Glue.
No, I do not.
Is it in there?
I don't know.
But yeah, because it's
Doesn't
like.
look like it. I would probably ask Kai.
Yeah, because it looks like they are separated enough from him that they're not. It's not like the old Saurus is carrying a slant where there's no way you could lose one of those guys.
Right.
So they came up with the idea, like, let's just have the slant float himself. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Okay, now comes the fun part where we go in and black in all this equipment.
My only problem is it restricts the area right where 5 is, and I can't.
Any questions or comments from our?
No, just people watching.
Okay, hi folks. Sorry, I keep coming in and out of the shot. It's just as I move in, I lose track of where my hands are.
It's cool. Like, I like it for the ability to set stuff up. The repair space is really nice. It's just such a weird shape. It's long enough that it's another.
I'm hoping that these Marines weren't painted so long ago I forgot where everything went.
Oh yeah.
What color did I cut? What color was this? Like random valve? Was it did I leave it the power armor or was it exposed metal?
Anyways, there's a discount if you repay, so that's why.
Every step, every color is one step closer to being finished.
So, one step to the next army.
It's true.
So I'm going to do first. I'm going to do all the kind of exposed cabling, all the joint armor. These guys, you have those little areas where you can see the armor fibers kind of poking through between plates. I do that. Then I can come back in and black in all the pouches and straps. Highlight all that. And just describing that sentence, I'm tired. There's some missile pods for the Tau, which I think nice color scheme. Still think you should paint them like frogs.
I wish. I've already done some of the flesh as the Tau blue.
Easily fixed.
Yeah.
Frogs everywhere.
Rivet.
I was wondering, could I do a shout out to the Kickstarter that's going on right now?
Oh yeah.
So there is a Kickstarter going on right now for the game Clash of Spears, which was written by one of the Giga's regulars who's been around for a while, and it's on Kickstarter now. It just went up yesterday, and I was part of the team. I was a minor part of the team that helped do some playtesting, and some of my figures are in the rulebook. Hooray!
That's awesome. I didn't realize that.
And in the promotional video for the Kickstarter, my some of the ones I painted, which look amazing on on camera. I mean, they look better than I've ever produced on camera, but they have a place of prominence in like a nice beat in the video, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, that's up, and it's historical skirmish. The first book concerns late Republic Rome, about the time of the Punic Wars, so the war against Carthage. It also has like 12 other armies in it, so you can kind of do that rough era. So think of it as early Rome before they become an empire. And it's a pretty nice rule set. I've talked on here about games like Saga, so I really love my historicals. Go check that out. It's awesome.
Yeah, support local designers and local artists and all that. And even if you're not going to back it, you can share it, or even ask Gigabytes to stock it, because I'm pretty sure we are. But the more support we get for it means the more we'll put on our shelves when it gets in.
You're right. The Kickstarter has like starter armies for like they already have sets with Vitrix for the Romans, the Carthaginians, and the Gauls. But there's rules. There's an army list creation for 12 factions. So you could have a lot of fun with that. And I was happy to do some of the painting for it.
Yeah.
There's some other painting in there which is just gorgeous.
Well, it's awesome that they were able to source multiple different artists for it. And I was remarking to David as the Kickstarter went up, just the amount of production that went into it is great. Like, this is definitely a labor of love for Alvaro. And it's really nice kind of seeing it come to fruition, because I've seen him up here playtesting it for the longest time. At least that's what it feels like.
Oh yeah, forever.
But now that it's like kind of on the stretch of production, it's really rewarding.
Oh yeah, and just to let people know, it's already been funded. I mean, it got funded in like half a day. So now we're on to all the free stuff. So just to let you know, I've gone in and painted all the. It's hard to see on camera, but I picked out all the kind of joints and parts that are going to be metal eventually on this guy. I like to use this Craftsmart paint because it's extremely matte. So it's matte, and I use a lot of it, which is good because it's cheap. But it's good for getting into, and it's good for blacklining and doing details for black because it doesn't have a semi-gloss finish. So it's really good for, once it's there, it doesn't draw attention to itself anymore, but it just makes areas darker. So it's a great asset to have. I always suggest that. I think Vallejo also has a nice, just matte black. So.
What's your email?
So John is working on his Bone Reapers. I'm still kind of working on my Gloom Spikettes.
Yeah.
I have a few. I mean, all the grots have been finished. All my mini units are done. All my characters are done. The other thing left to do is finish painting up my the Sneaky Snufflers.
It's not that much.
Nope.
Yeah, with me, my trogs are done-ish. I mean, like, there's more that I want to do to them, but like everything's at least in a playable point to me.
Well, yeah, you had to get them ready for the tourney.
Yeah, but there's like a lot of things I want to come back and do. I'm just trying to get Bone Reapers up to playable.
Right.
And if I get it done before Lizardmen come out, Then I'll be going back to Trogs to do some additional effects and things.
Well, yeah, the new troll models are so nice.
Yeah.
And then you, of course, have the big hag.
Yeah. There's a lot to do on her as well.
I never saw her done. I mean, did you paint her up as a stone? Is she in the color scheme of the stone troll or the?
No. As the river trolls.
Oh, okay.
So, like, I have the blue trolls and their leader, and then the magenta trolls and their leader.
What's the leader for the? Oh, that's right. Of course, the big guy.
Yeah, the Trog boss.
Right. I do like the. I do like having the trolls for my goblins because they'll be a nice anchor of just real damage.
Yeah, that's my favorite part about playing Trog Herd is just the, like, the hard smack that they provide.
It's like I hit you, take 6 damage. Like what?
But they are about as subtle as Games Workshop's naming policy. So,
Well, I'm playing Gloom Spaghetti. There's no subtlety there. Like we're just gonna, rush forward and well, hopefully don't die before we do it.
yeah, do our thing.
Right. So I kind of like Skaven. I can't get mad if my army just falls apart and dies because
Yeah.
they're goblins. What was I expecting? Mostly it's the army as a whole is surprised when they win.
Oh, it's like, oh, hey, we did it, guys.
We didn't die. Hooray! Well, not all of us did. Hooray!
Yeah, it was interesting. I'm not sure. They released the fluff bit for Ripa's Snarlfang,
Oh, okay.
and it does mention the Git mob still exists in some way. And Ripa was part of it, and he was basically part of a failed assassination onto their chieftain. And so instead of facing the consequences, he fled his tribe. And
Smart goblin.
his two compatriots are not so much like being like, oh, you were right, boss, we're going to stick with you through all this. It was more or less they were also implicated into the assassination plot. So
Okay.
it was either leave or face punishment.
So we're going to exit stage left.
And so now they stick together out of mutual survival.
Okay, that's proper. But so the Git mobs still exist in some form. That's a good to hear.
Right. And so it'll be interesting to see if they say, like, oh, hey, they escaped the Git mob and then the Git mob was wiped out, or this is some future way of introducing them.
Well, it just means that they stay in the fluff even if we don't see them on the table.
Right. And that always leaves the plan to bring in some sort of goblin-esque army. I would even love to see orcs and goblins back together, like do some sort of...
Well, as an owner of a orc and goblin army, I would love to see something that where my army doesn't have to be grandfathered in.
Right.
I loved my old orc army, but they're pretty unplayable at this time.
Yeah.
At least all those goblins I painted up were all the night goblins I painted up have borne fruit, and they're still around.
Yeah.
I know, that was my reaction. Yes, absolutely. What kind of question is that?
Oh, it's almost that time to sign off and say goodbye. So this is it.
Well, if there's any other questions before we go, I'm open.
Yeah. And if not, we will be back next week, guys, for another exciting painting episode.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone.
Bye.